Hello, beauty treasure hunters. Welcome to my new channel. My name is Michelle. I am 54. I love makeup. I'm a certified lash artist and makeup artist, and I love to find beauty treasures. So if you are a beauty treasure hunter and you enjoy finding those treasures, share with me and I'll share with you. Okay, let's get started with some bargain beauty finds today. The first one I'm going to start off with is a nice alternative for the NARS pot concealer. The NARS is more firm, but after you have the Langmani open for a while, it starts to get a little bit dried out, and that makes it just about perfect. We're going to try a new trick today that I just learned this week, and it works very nicely if you have things that you want to conceal. They recommend starting with a freshly cleaned face, no skincare. So that's what I'm going to do, or that's what I have done. I'm going to use a brush, and I'm going to conceal some of my hyperpigmentation and some of my capillaries. This is a good trick if you just have, a few spot things to conceal. If you don't have much discoloration to conceal, this may not be worth your time, but I have tried it a couple of times and I'm really liking it. What I normally do for my under eyes, I have some puffiness, so I'm going to go in with my regular color here. And just the parts that I really do, like the lowest parts, I'm going to go ahead and put my concealer on. So, like my tear trough. And I like concealer right underneath the eye because it helps any shadow that I put under there stay on. All right. All right, so what we're going to do is let that dry down. And I'm going to go ahead and use the same concealer. You can get this off of Temu for $1 or $2. They do have it on Amazon as well, but it's closer to $10. The shade that I love is shade number 2. I ordered a 3 one time and it was a little bit too orange, but if you're using that underneath your eyes to conceal some blueness, that might work. And I like shade 4 also. It's a little bit darker, but without the orange tint. But this one is shade number 2. I like it for priming the eyelids because it's just a little bit sticky, which means there's some moisture in here. It's not too dry, but it covers the veins that I have, the discoloration that I want to hide. So I have the eyelids primed. Now I'm going to use just any kind of setting powder will do. And I am using today just some Superstay. And I'm going to set that. If the eyeshadow you're going to use that day has a lighter color, you can just use that. Sometimes my palettes don't have a good lid color, so I just always keep this nearby. Okay, now we're ready to move on to a good eyeshadow bargain that I have found recently. I got this at a Ross, and it is by Beauty Treats, the Soft Glam palette. And what drew me to it was these sparkly creams that are in here. Do you all see the shimmers? They are creamy. So I thought, that looks neat. And I've heard lots of gals ask the question, when you have a palette, how do you choose the colors that you're going to put together? Well, first, I could have used one of these lighter shades to go over and set my concealer, but I didn't. Then I like to look for a couple of shades that are close to each other. So I could go with some browns. In this palette, I could also do something a little bit more rosy or a little bit more bronzy. Today, to keep it basic, I'm just going to do some browns. So I'm going to start with the lightest one. And I'm just going to do that in my crease. Now, I have majorly hooded lids, and one is way more hooded than the other. So the shape of shadow that I do, I have found what works best for me, and that is to come over a little bit and hide my crow's feet. Some gals like to stay away from that area and draw it up higher right in here. But what works for me is like a cat eye shape, which means you come out to the side a little bit. So that was the lightest. Now I'm going to move right along to a little bit darker shade. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with this happy underneath here is what it's called. And I'm going to stick mostly to this outer triangle, I'll call it. And that is not as pigmented as I would like, so I'm going to try this one, see if it's a little bit more pigmented. The good thing about shadows that aren't heavily pigmented is, they are much easier to work with. You can build them up instead. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit darker. This palette has 30 shades, and it was only like, I'm going to say $5.99. It's either $5.99 or $6.99. So I've got a triangle shape here on the outer corner. Sometimes I like to bring that in just a little bit. If I don't have color up here, then you end up not seeing it at all. Okay, now that I know what shade I need, I'm going to go in with that darkest one. And make that triangle on this side. I like to clean my brushes off as I go. I like to use a shadow switcher. Okay, now the next shade that I look for is something that has maybe a little bit of sheen to it in that same color family. And so I'm going to go with, I think, this color right down here. It's kind of a bronzy shade, and I am going to use my finger because it is one of those creams. And here's what it looks like. Okay, and I'm going to go right in the center. Don't let anybody tell you that just because you are older, you can't wear sparkly stuff. Actually, sparkles cover a multitude of wrinkles. Okay, and I'm going to go with the other side. I'm going to do some blending with just a clean brush. And now I need to clean up on these edges. But before I do that, I'm going to use a pencil brush, which is kind of pointy, and take my darkest color that I liked for my outer corner And I'm going to go from my lower lash line and make a straight line up to kind of connect those. And I've got lots of little wrinkles there. Some gals talk about avoiding those and going above it, but I like to kind of disguise them and go right over the top. So I'm making like a straight line here. And the only tricky part is doing that same angle on the other side. I focus on really getting it in that corner. Okay, now I'm gonna clean up. And I like to use a Q-tip and Vaseline. Then I have to make sure that my angles match. It should look like the outside of your lashes meeting your shadow. If you find that when you do this, if you hold your eyes up and then go down, if it looks like a curve here, then sometimes you have to do a curve this way to even that out. And then when you relax back down, it looks straight. Okay, moving right along. I am going to take my darker concealer now to hide some puffiness. So I've been using this e.l.f. You can still get it off of the e.l.f. website, the Flawless Brightening Concealer, but it's in a darker color. I think this one's like 45. And just on the puffy parts is where I'm going to put it. And I do have super nice brushes, but you don't have to have super nice brushes. My favorite concealer brush right now is one I got off Amazon. Teoyall, and this one's 270S. It's extremely dense and soft. And so what I like to do is stipple it right across. And then come down a little bit to kind of mix the colors just a little. And I'm not immediately going to set this with powder. I'm going to give it a little bit of time to dry down. Okay. And now, my favorite pot concealer right now is this by Blink. I got it at Ross. I think it was $3.99. I do wedding makeup and was taught that you really need to always stick with gel eyeliner because it lasts. So I'm gonna do some upper eyeliner and fast forward through this part. Clean off my brushes with baby wipes immediately. My eyeliner brush anyway. Okay, now I'm ready for some lower lash mascara. My upper lashes are the Sectionals by Ardell. They're the wispy ones, the wispiest. Show you what they look like. No, they're not Ardell. They're the Kiss Falscara. They're the ones that have, you can see the two sections and the little wisps in between. I've tried them all, and those are my favorite. And I've recently discovered this Kiss Super Stick. It lasts up to 5 days. Now, I am a lash artist. Am a certified lash extension artist, but it's very difficult for me to do myself. And so this 5-day glue has really been a game changer for me. I have used just a different type that's not as strong as what I use on my clients, on myself. However, if I'm not careful, I can feel that glue. I'm not as precise in doing it on myself. So this 5-day glue is very flexible. And as long as you don't use too much, then you don't have any trouble opening your eyes in the mornings. But I like to keep them on for a few days as long as they look nice. And then when I take them off, I do a thorough cleaning of my lashes. And I use hypochlorous acid I do baby shampoo, and then I rinse with hypochlorous acid. And there are several beauty companies that bottle that and sell it now, like the Tower 28 SOS spray. That's what that is. But there is a pitcher that you can buy, Pitcher, that makes it a liter at a time. It's called the EcoLox 1, EcoLox. And that pitcher has electrodes in the bottom. You have to start with like pH neutral water. I have tested mine, and so my filtered water out of my refrigerator is what I start off with. And you use 2 grams of plain table salt, not iodized. And in 8 minutes, you can have a liter of that spray, and it is fantastic. So look up all the benefits of hypochlorous acid, HYPO chlorus. Okay. So there we go. Now I am going to move on and show you. Let's see. I'm going to do the lips a little bit, but before we put some conditioner on the lips, I don't want any moisturizing stuff getting into my lip lines. So everybody who puts on, nice lip balm beforehand and it gets into their lip lines, they're going to have trouble later on with your liner bleeding. So I'm going to take this LA Colors contour stick in light and go right around the upper edge of my lip. And it's okay when I blend it out if I get some on my lip. That's all right. Okay, now it's okay if I go in and show you a dupe for, it's not really a dupe. It's very comparable to the Ola Henriksen lip balm. My daughter got this for me. I'm going to put that on one side, and I'm going to put the e.l.f. Now this is not the new one. These are the ones that had been out for a while. The Squeeze Me lip balm. This one's in peach, and it's nice and thick also. When I do this, I can't feel the difference between the sides. So we'll let that marinate and move on to, let's see, I'm going to do brows next. I'm going to use some brow powder. Actually, this is not for brow. This is root touch-up powder. I have grays in my brows, and so every couple of weeks I do brow tinting, and I use beard dye because it works in 5 minutes. You can spend $10 on the Just for Men, or you can go to the Dollar Tree and get this for $1.25. The only difference is the Just for Men comes in tubes that you can, recap and reuse. And this comes in packets. And so what I do, I tear the top off of them and then put them back when I'm done and store it right side up like this so that doesn't seep out. And that saves a ton of money. And then in between, I use brow products if I need some color filled in there. And I have pomades that I like, and this brow powder, the Root Touch-Up powder. I like the Root Touch-Up a little bit better than a regular brow powder because, man, it is made to stick to the hairs. And as you get older, your hair starts growing crazy in places that you don't want it to grow. So I do have to brush mine up and trim them off every now and then. But my favorite product for gluing them down is still the Ardell Brow Glue. I've tried all kinds of others. And if you want a cheaper version, you can get the Dollar General hair glue. It's comparable to the Got to Be Glued hair glue. You can buy a giant tube of it very, very cheaply, and it will last you till you die, probably. But I like to tame the wild ones with the brow glue. All right, now the concealer that I put on has dried down, and so I'm going to go in with my Biore Aqua Rich Sunscreen. I love this one because it feels like skincare. And what I'm going to do is kind of layer this up with a tinted one on top of this. You know, you'll hear people fussing, saying, oh, but you didn't use enough. You got to use, what is it, a quarter teaspoon full to get the whatever SPF it's claiming. What I like to do is use just a little bit of several different types. For example, we've got this. This is kind of feeling like our skincare. And then today, let's see, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Whoa Glow, and I'm going to use it in the darkest color, so it's going to kind of act like a bronzer for me. And right now at my Marshalls, you can get this for $6.99. Yep, it's still at Walmart for $14, but sometimes you can find it other places. So the first thing I used was SPF of 50. This one is 30. So I know I can at least count on my 30. And I have had melanoma twice, so I really have to be careful. I like the Whoa Glow because it does two things. I'm glowy and I'm a little bit bronzed at the same time. All right, now I'm going to show you a very comparable foundation for the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. I found this. What caught my eye was the Radiant. This was at my Marshalls. It's by Ellen Tracy. And it says it's Radiant Weightless Foundation. So to show you that this is comparable, I'm going to do the NARS on the left. And I'm just going to apply this with my fingers. And yes, it is lighter, but if I need to go back in with some bronzer, I can. Plus, this shears out so nicely. And what I'm looking for in a foundation at my age is how well it hides my pores. I think gravity is the reason our pores get stretched. It seems like each new decade brings a new beauty concern. I've had lots of new ones in my 50s. I am 54. All right, so that's one half. Now for the Ellen Tracy Radiant. By the way, I got my NARS off the Walmart website, and it was only like $10 a bottle. And I'm sure it was from, a site that buys pallets of things and resells them that are close to expiration. But my daughter was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, does that have a lot number and an expiration date on the box?" And it did. It was the real deal. So check, on the Walmart website every now and then and see. I have found some absolute gems with people reselling things or overstock items, I guess. All right. Just as radiant as the other side. And I'll zoom you in. I can go one more. So I like the coverage. And I will do a little bit of powder on this. I do have some amazing powder to show you. But before I do that, let me zoom back out. There we go. My very favorite bronzer stick. I'm afraid it's going to get hard to find. It's not in stores anymore. You still can get it off the Milani website and the Ulta website. It's the supercharged bronzing multi-stick, and this one's in 160 bronze voltage. And the reason I like this, ooh, look, I'm getting down near the bottom, is it's more like a gloss almost. Very light, but super blendable. And it smells like chocolate. Mm. And I get just, a tiny whiff, and then it's gone after I blend it in. But it's a pleasure putting it on. So it's kind of like, that's what a luxury product is like. Just, it's a joy to put on. And I stocked up recently. I think Milani was having a 25% off sale. And then if you get it at Ulta, you can use your coupons and points and what have you. And even though I'm blonde, I do like to get up in my hairline. I don't like to see a white hairline. And then to hide jowls, you don't need to go under and, show it. You need to go over it. And then just blend really well. And then you can shadow right underneath the chin, but not here, because that is the area that is protected. It doesn't get sun because your chin hides it for you. And so if you want it to look natural, like you really have a tan, you leave that part unbronzed. Okay, so now I've got cream everywhere. And I got this Ioni bronzer stick, not bronzer stick, blush stick. And this one's in the shade Burgundy, I think. And I got it at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Here's what it looks like. It is not the jelly. It's actually a blush stick. So I like to take a nice dense brush. This is also by that one brand that I showed you earlier. This is the 170S. And when I'm putting on blush, if I overdo it, I don't panic because I can go over it with my powder. To go over the nose, a little bit on the chin and the forehead. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit of bronzer next to set down where I did the contour. And my absolute favorite bronzer is the Flower Beauty Heat Wave in Sunrise L1 because it is kind of like a pinky brown. You'll have to ignore my ugly fingernails right now. I play violin, and I do a much better job on the violin when I do not have my fake nails on. But sometimes you will see me with fake nails on. But the violin brings me such joy. Sometimes I just want to be able to play prettier and not click. It's nice to have a little bit of bronzer on the puffy parts of my dry bags, just a little. Okay, now I also like to set down my cream blush with a powder blush. This is one I got at my Marshall's by Almay, and it is in shade Wild Berry. So I like to take a fluffy brush. Okay, now I'm ready for the magic powder I was telling you about. It's my favorite powder of all time. And I'm going to compare it to a really high-end one. Now remember, I've got the NARS foundation on this side, the Ellen Tracy on this side. So I'm going to do some Huda Easy Bake in the Cherry Blossom one. I like to use puff and to go everywhere that I see pores and texture. So that was this side. I can use a different puff to show you the bargain powder. It is the Wet n Wild Soft Pink Powder. I think it's the best powder I've ever used in my life. So I like to dip it in, kind of pull it off the side. All right, I'm gonna zoom in and let you see each side. Here's the Huda Beauty side. And here's the Wet n Wild side. And since I can still see some pores over here, it's a little bit better. But I have to say I like the Wet n Wild side. All right, now some highlighter. I'm not quite finished until I have highlighter. All right, so the most beautiful highlighter that I own, I got at Marshall's. It is a Pat McGrath Labs, and I want you to look at this. Is that not so gorgeous? Okay, and we're going to compare that to the good old Essence Pure Nude. And this one is in the shade 10, Be My Highlight. So you can see the colors are very similar. So I'll do the Pat McGrath on this side in all the places that I normally do it. Okay, very subtle. I'm going to clean off that brush. Now we're going in with the Essence. I can't tell I have different types of highlighters in my face. All right, now the last thing I like to do is kind of melt everything back together. And I love the D'Alba White Truffle Spray. And you can get this size. I think this is the 2 ounce. You can get this for like $12 when it's on sale on Amazon. But I did find this white truffle serum spray by Italia. So it's made in Italy. There. Do this on one side. I think the only difference I can tell is in the fineness of the sprayer. The sprayer is fantastic. So when I run out in this bottle, I'm probably going to pour this in and use it. And my favorite setting spray is not a setting spray. It is the Pantene Flexible Hold number 3. It works just as well as the one size. I don't have the one size, but I do have the L'Oreal, so I'm going to do that on my high-end side. It smells like Aquanet hairspray. Do you all remember that? And this smells absolutely divine. I have to stop myself from inhaling it because it smells so good. All right, now I have not done lips yet. So I'm gonna, let's see. I'm gonna dab my lip balm off. And remember that I have my highlighting stick. I'm gonna go over it one more time because I have some major lip lines coming. And I don't like lip liners if they don't stay on. I have recently gone through my entire collection and made marks and then tried to rub them off and only kept in my collection here to use as lip liner the ones that really stayed on. And I'm going to show you one from the Dollar Tree. This one's Warm Nude by Honey. It's a trimmable one. And I like to work on symmetry. Do not go into the corners. I'm going to use a Flower Beauty lipstick. This actually has a gloss in the bottom too, but I'm just going to use the lipstick. I think that's a lovely nude color. Let's see if I can read what color it is. Honey Nude. And I got this at a salvage store for $1.99. And let's see, my favorite sparkly gloss right now, it's not really a gloss, it's a lip oil, is the e.l.f. I know it's $8. Ugh, okay. This one is the Glimmer Lip Oil in Crystal Baller. It is the sparkliest of all of them I've tried. So this is my final look for the day. This is the high-end side. And this is the Beauty Treasure Hunter side. And I don't know about you all, but I can't tell. Now the eyeshadow on both sides is the same. But we're talking foundation-wise. Hello, beauty. So if you would like to be notified now.